Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl Santa Cruz and I'm the programming manager at Outfest. And I'm so glad to have the director and writer of the film Cocoon with me here, Leonie Krippendorf.
Hello, nice to be here.
Hi. Leonie, can we start? Where are you right now?
I'm in Berlin, Germany.
And I believe that you are, I'm not sure if it has already come out or you're working on the theatrical release of the film.
Yeah, it's just coming out. So yesterday we had our big, very beautiful open air premiere, and now I'm a little bit hangover, but it was beautiful.
So you mentioned it was an open air premiere. What does theatrical look like in Germany right now?
You mean the virus situation?
Well, I mean, so is when you say theatrical, is it mostly virtual, or are there some theaters that are open?
Yeah. Actually, they opened with limited seats and pretty strict rules, but till now it was working. And I mean, of course, there's not a lot of audience because most of the people still don't want to go to cinemas. But I feel like in the moment it's not only about like having as much people possible coming to your films, also just to that cinema stays alive. And so we're trying that. I'm curious, I don't know, yesterday it was packed, but that was outside. And yeah
Well, I mean, I definitely think that people are really hungry to be able to participate in the cinematic community as much as possible. So that's really exciting. That you're having a theatrical release in. Let's just start from the beginning. What was the journey to making Cocoon?
Cocoon is my debut, but I made a long feature film as my graduation film from university. So I had some contacts that financed that film that also financed now my debut. It was still a long process, but I think that it was very helpful to have like this people supporting me that already knew what I were doing. And I actually, what I wanted to do is to make a coming of age film that is very close to the body and is telling subjects like getting a period a bit more realistic than you can see it in a lot of other coming of age films. And from that point on, I started. The first scene I wrote was the scene on the toilet where the two girls meet when Nora got her period for the first time, and Romy is washing out the blood out of her pants. So that was like the first scene, and from that scene I created the characters and the whole world, the whole setting around.
I mean, the film is definitely feels very authentic, especially when it comes to the lives of teenagers. Did you find that, I mean, so you mentioned that you started with that scene. As you were building it out, did you find that you had any trouble with kind of being able to stay authentic? Or, you know, like what was the most important thing as you were kind of working through the narrative for you to portray to the audience?
I choose a setting that I know very well because I didn't grow up exactly in that area, but not far away. And I did spend a lot of time in my youth there. That was important to me. And then we made a big street casting to find like all the boy actors in Cocoon. They are directly living in the house. And so that was very exciting to find them and to work with them. And they also have been a very good corrective because of course I had like feelings to my youth, to my teenager time, but it was like, I'm such a different generation. I grew up without social media and stuff. So they really, like, I wrote the script and then we started to work together, and then I rewrote the script. We did a lot of improvisation, and I would always write things down and then hand out a new version of the script. So yeah, it was a long process and very helpful to me to have them to be as authentic as I could be.
And to that point, were there any big changes in the script that came out of working with the actors?
Funnily enough, it feels like it feels very different than I experience everything, but at the same time, very like there's nothing really big changed, because like the essence of all the feelings is always the same, and just the outside world, the surrounding changes a bit. So I would like, I changed a lot of how they speak, and yeah, also like the social media stuff, how they do use it, and yeah, but no, I think not really huge changes.
How did you find your lead actors? Because they're also, they give such wonderful performances.
Yes. Just like Nora, Lena Otzendowski, who's playing Nora, the main character, she, I knew photos and her voice. She had a role in a TV film before. I didn't want to watch the film because I didn't want to, I had a big idea about her, and I was afraid of being distracted by that and seeing the work of someone else. So actually she was the first one who came to the casting, and then I saw maybe 50 other girls, but it was always her. And so that was very, very clear from the beginning. And Jella Hase, who plays Romy, I've been working, she's quite famous in Germany, and I've been working with her in my graduation film as well. And I was a bit afraid because she was, I think, 24 or 25 when we shot the film. So she's way older than her character. And I was a bit afraid of that, if she's too mature for the role. But they have been such a beautiful couple from the first moment. So like, they came to the casting, and it was like, I just believed the love, and I was very, very glad about that, because that was very, very important to me, that you really feel the love between the two girls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also with her sister and her sister's friend, there's not just her romantic chemistry, but she's got a great bond and chemistry with her sister as well. Were there any activities, or what did you do with the girls to get them to bond and to, you really feel the connection between all of them on screen?
We had a long journey of rehearsal, and also like I wanted them to get to know each other as sisters. So I asked them, they brought photos of their families, and told stories about their childhood, and then they asked each other how they would feel in that situation, that they just, as a sister, that they just have been telling about. And so I just wanted to create a feeling that they are really like sisters. And yeah, I think that was like, that kind of worked, because they are not like friends, they're more like sisters still. Like, so yeah, it's nice.
So you talked a little bit about the place and where the film is set. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about how you were able to really capture the feeling. I mean, also the way that the film is shot, you really feel like you're in with this group of teenagers. So do you want to talk a little bit about the cinematography and how you decided to make some of the decisions you did in how you were filming this group of kids in this very specific place?
Yeah. At first, like, what really helped is that, like, they it's their surrounding. So like the place where we shot like all the party scene, or like the web party scene, and the don't know how to say in English, when they hurt their hands as a game and stuff. These are all places where they come daily, so they felt very like they had the security around them, and it was an authentic place for them. That was important. But then also, like, this surrounding is like pretty well known in actually whole Germany, because it's very diverse, but also like very criminal, dark spot. And there are a lot of people who say that they, because there's a big underground station, that they avoid to go there because they always are afraid to get robbed and stuff. And so I didn't want to have that cliches, because that, of course, there is the truth, but it's everybody knows it. So there was no need to talk about that. And so what I wanted was that it is very authentic, but also it feels a bit like dreamy, a bit poetic, a bit like because I always had in my head like this summer is a summer that Nora will always remember. Like there's always this one summer where you think, okay, I developed so much and I changed so much that I will always remember this summer. And so I tried that we have like this very authentic part in the film, but also this dreamy, like a memory part. And and that was like then the artistic decision behind the style. Yeah.
And you know, one of the things about this film is, you know, unlike your stereotypical like teen romantic comedy, it doesn't necessarily end up with this, you know, super happy, everyone, you know, everyone gets what they want and everything works out for everyone at the end. What was most important to you that you wanted to portray about the relationship and the kind of the blossoming and then the kind of reality check that that happens at the end?
Yeah. Some different things, like first thing was I never wanted to have like a happy end in the love story, because I wanted Nora to grow, like to have to grow for herself and to be strong for herself and not just with someone else. So of course she needs Romy for this journey to to find herself a little bit more. But then in the end, it was important to me that she's alone, and although she got her heart broken, she's strong. And then also I wanted to tell a story about two schoolgirls being in love that is not confronted with a lot of bad feelings. Like there's not a lot of discrimination. Of course, you can imagine that sometimes it's not easy, but it's not, you know, it's never if you fall in love for the first time. And so that was very very important to me as well, that it's a film that gives a positive feeling also to young girls who are watching it. And then also I, like with Romy, I wanted to create a character that, because sometimes, like, especially when you're so young, you mostly or often fall in love with an aspect of a person that later on breaks your heart. So Nora falls in love with like this free spirit and that Romy has, and like that she's so open and so giving, and but then also this breaks her heart in the end when Romy is just going on to the next person, because that was, I think that were my thoughts. Yeah.
Did you experience any roadblocks when, developing a teen lesbian love story?
Any what?
Any
Sorry.
roadblocks, or did you have any difficulty
Ah.
kind of getting this off the ground? You know.
No, funnily enough, it was more like that I wanted to show so much blood. That was a problem.
Interesting. So it wasn't the lesbian aspect, it was the period.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the period.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so that was like more like, because I said I need all those scenes, and like people would say, because we had like just a very small budget and stuff, and they would say, oh yeah, but you already told that she already got her period, why do we have to see that she gets it again when she's in her bed? Why do we have to see how she washes out the blood of her pants and stuff? And I always said, because you usually never see it, so that was important, and that was more like the point of discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I also feel that, especially in this film, it's those little details that I think ring true for so many people, but it never gets spoken about. So it definitely helps really put you in that world and makes it feel real, because we all know that these are all things that we've had to do.
Yes.
So yeah. It's interesting because, again, this film feels so authentic to teen life. Is there anything that feels different about it, with it coming out in a time like this where we can't have summers with our friends like that, and we can't experience each other in the same way that they all do in the film?
Yeah, very much. It feels like another world, because like I mean, now the summer here, like we have the first very hot days, so it feels a bit like the film and like the time when we've been shooting, but it's still like such another world. And so yeah, I felt like also yesterday, because it was we had our premiere at the Berlinale, and then right after the Berlinale, the lockdown happened, and so this was the first screening we had after that. And I felt like people have been very emotional, because it was kind of, they remembered how that it's also like same temperatures, but totally other summer, because you're not that close anymore.
Right. Yeah. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the character of the mom. I think she's such a wonderful addition in her relationship with her daughters, and also the way that her daughters kind of come together and have to parent each other and their mother. It adds a little bit more texture to the lives of these girls. Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to kind of have this character who doesn't really factor into the main story, but really kind of informs who these two girls are?
Yeah, I mean, what I find interesting is that I mean, I'm happy that you say that, because a lot of people also see like the alcoholic mother who doesn't take good care of her kids, and I always wanted to tell, and of course maybe her daughters are a bit too young to be so loose, and maybe they have a bit too much freedom, and maybe they would need a bit more security and more family life and stuff. But it's still that she is such a like free spirit and free person, and what she's giving to her daughters is that they can develop in every direction they want to go, and she will always support them emotionally, maybe not in a daily base and like with structures that kids maybe also need, but they can just become themselves and like strong personalities. And so I felt like there are not so many mothers in films that give nothing but emotional support and, you know, like a strong free spirit. And I know so many mothers like this, so I thought, yeah, it's important for me to have her.
Yeah, yeah, and I really do think that her relationship. I think one of the more interesting scenes was with the baby, and how they thought that if there was a baby that they could, how they try to, the two girls, instead of just taking that freedom and just kind of going wild, they're still trying to help their mother kind of bring her back into their family in a particular way. And so I thought that was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know that Variety has named you as one of 10 European talents to watch in 2020. So do you mind letting us know like what you're working on right now? I know that maybe perhaps productions aren't really happening in the same way that they have been, but how are you keeping yourself busy, and professionally, what are you working on next?
Yeah, I'm writing a script that takes place in Portugal, central Portugal, where my mother bought a piece of land that burned down in 2017.
Yeah.
And it was like a huge fire, like one of the hugest, or the biggest, or maybe the biggest in Europe that ever has been recorded, and nobody really talks about. And so I'm writing a script about for young people living on this mountain that then burns down, and it's a lot about like the Fridays for Future generation, also about the question how radical a new generation has to be if they want to stop climate change. It's also a queer love story. They actually come as two heterosexual couples, but then they open their relationship and are like a big couple and living like on this hill, being naked and having sex all day till it burns down. So yeah, that's what I'm working on, and I'm still in the process of writing a script. And I was there, came back 1 week ago to do research and to talk with people, and yeah.
Wow.
I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I'm very excited about it.
That sounds incredible. I mean, it doesn't seem like such a bad idea to spend a quarantine on a in Portugal.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I mean, thank you so much for sharing your film. We're so excited that we're able to share it with our audiences. Unfortunately, we're not coming together in person at the festival, but we're so glad that we can still have a conversation with you and share your beautiful work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.